Your words can protect you, or they can destroy you. They can turn conflict into calm or ignite chaos in an instant. They can lift someone higher than they ever thought possible, or they can cut them down to nothing. Words are not harmless. They're not random sounds that disappear after you speak them. They leave a trace, an energy, a mark on the people who hear them, and on you too. That's why the strongest people I know understand the art of speech. They don't talk just to talk. They speak with purpose. Because every word you release has power, and once it leaves your mouth, you no longer control where it lands. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. You don't need to dominate a room to command respect. Power doesn't live in noise, it lives in clarity. The most influential people aren't the loudest. They're the ones who speak with intention. Their words don't stumble out of emotion. They're shaped by thought, by control, by focus. They know that language is energy, and how you use it determines how the world responds to you. When you speak from a place of reaction, you hand away your authority. But when you speak from a place of discipline, you anchor yourself in power. Your words reveal your mindset. They expose your insecurities or your confidence. Listen closely to how people talk. You can hear their self-belief or their self-doubt in every sentence. The person who constantly needs to be right is fighting a battle with their own ego. The one who can listen, pause, and respond calmly, that's the one in control. Control doesn't mean silence, it means restraint. It means understanding that not every situation deserves your voice. Not every argument needs your reaction. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is hold your ground in silence and let your composure speak for you. When others get loud, lower your tone. When they attack, don't rush to defend. Pause. Because in that pause lies power. It's the moment that separates emotion from intelligence. People expect chaos. Surprise them with calm. When you stay composed, you unsettle those who thrive on reaction. That's real strength. Quiet, centered, unshakable strength. Your words can build or they can break. You decide. You can use them to encourage, to teach, to inspire, or to manipulate and wound. Every time you open your mouth, you have a choice: to elevate or to destroy. Strong people don't waste their words proving their worth. They use them to create impact. They understand that what you say today echoes in the future. Words are currency. Spend them wisely, because your voice is a weapon. It can defend truth, protect peace, and command respect. But when used carelessly, it can cause damage you never intended. So, before you speak, pause and ask, am I reacting from emotion or responding with purpose? Because in that choice lies your power. The psychology of speech. Every single word you speak carries a vibration, a frequency that influences not only others, but also yourself. You might not realize it, but your words are shaping how people perceive you and how you perceive your own worth. When you speak from emotion, you surrender control. You hand over your power to the situation, to the person, to the heat of the moment. But when you speak with precision, when your words are chosen carefully and delivered with intent, you shift from reacting to commanding. You become the one who sets the tone, not the one who follows it. Think about this. People reveal who they truly are through how they speak. You can see discipline, intelligence, emotional stability, all in a person's language. Impulsive people speak to fill silence. They talk to be noticed. But disciplined people? They pause. They observe. They think before they open their mouth. They don't waste their energy trying to be heard. They speak to be understood. There's a difference between talking and communicating. One is noise, the other is influence. One demands attention, the other earns it. And when you master the second, you don't need to compete for respect. It's given to you naturally. Your voice is an extension of your mindset. Every word is a reflection of what's happening internally. If your language is scattered, it often means your thoughts are too. If you speak from insecurity, your words will carry weakness. But when you ground yourself in calm and confidence, even few words can hold more power than 1,000 shouted ones. That's the beauty of control. It magnifies your presence without needing to inflate your volume. So many people speak without awareness. They don't understand that their words are constantly creating impressions in relationships, in business, in leadership. When you communicate with purpose, you guide how others experience you. You can walk into a room and shift its entire energy simply by the tone of your voice. Because speech isn't just sound, it's strategy. It's how you navigate conflict, build trust, and influence outcomes. But that power requires discipline. You can't master your speech if you can't master your emotions. The moment you let anger, ego, or fear drive your words, you lose credibility. You may win the argument, but you lose the impact. Real authority doesn't come from proving you're right. It comes from communicating with intention. You can disagree without disrespecting. You can correct someone without belittling. That's emotional intelligence in action, the ability to align your words with your values. The truth is, people remember not just what you say, but how you made them feel when you said it. Your words can anchor peace or provoke tension. They can open doors or close them forever. You've seen it. One careless phrase can destroy trust that took years to build. One well-timed word can save a life, motivate a team, repair a bond. That's how powerful language truly is. It's your most consistent form of influence, available to you every single day. So if you want to elevate your life, start by elevating your speech. Be intentional with every sentence. Don't let your emotions speak for you. Let your principles guide your voice. Because when you learn to communicate with calm strength, when you speak with clarity and confidence instead of impulse and noise, you don't just talk, you lead. You influence. You command respect without ever needing to demand it. That's the psychology of speech. Understanding that your words are not random. They're tools. And when you learn how to use them with purpose, they become your greatest weapon. Control is power. Power isn't found in shouting the loudest or forcing your way into every conversation. True power lives in your ability to remain calm when others lose control. The moment you let anger dictate your words, you hand your strength to someone else. Control begins when you understand that not every reaction deserves your energy. It's about discipline, the kind that allows you to stay composed when chaos erupts around you. When others get louder, you lower your tone. When they attack, you pause. When they expect you to break, you breathe. Because in that pause, in that breath, lies your power. Think about how people behave in conflict. Most react instantly, emotionally, recklessly. They raise their voices, interrupt, argue just to win. But control is not about winning arguments. It's about maintaining influence. When you stay grounded, you make people lean in. You make them listen. Calmness unsettles those who thrive on drama. Silence disarms those who depend on reaction. The person who controls their tone controls the tempo of the entire exchange. It's like being the steady center in a storm. Everything spins, but you remain unmoved. That steadiness, that poise, makes others take you seriously. You see, composure is not weakness. It's one of the purest forms of strength. Anyone can shout, but it takes discipline to speak softly and still be heard. It takes emotional intelligence to respond instead of react. Control isn't about suppressing what you feel. It's about directing that emotion with precision. It's knowing that if you let frustration speak for you, you'll say things that can't be unsaid. Power is not about intimidation. It's about intention. The ability to choose your words instead of letting your emotions choose them for you. There's a misconception that silence is submission. But silence, when used wisely, is strategy. It allows space for others to reveal themselves. People expose their truth in their need to fill silence. They tell you who they are when you give them time to speak. So don't rush to respond. Let others show their hand first. In negotiation, in confrontation, even in everyday conversation, the person who can wait, who can pause, who can hold that silence without discomfort, is always in command. Emotional control gives you perspective. When you react instantly, you see only the surface of the situation. But when you slow down, when you take a breath before responding, you gain clarity. You see the bigger picture. You understand what's really being said, not just the words, but the motive behind them. That's where your strength lies, in awareness. The more aware you are, the less reactive you become. And the less reactive you are, the more powerful your communication becomes. Control also builds credibility. People trust those who stay calm under pressure. When you can maintain composure in the heat of conflict, others begin to see you as stable, reliable, centered. That's leadership. The ability to manage your emotions without letting them spill over onto others. When you stay in control, you give others a sense of safety, and that's what influence is built on. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, don't let them dictate your response. Remember that the louder they get, the calmer you become. When emotions rise, slow your pace. Lower your tone. Hold your ground. Because control is not about overpowering others. It's about mastering yourself. And the one who masters themselves controls everything around them. Words can heal or harm. Every word you speak carries weight. Every sentence you form has the power to shape, to wound, or to rebuild. Too many people move through life speaking carelessly, not realizing that their words are like arrows. Once they're released, you can't pull them back. You can apologize, you can explain, but you can never undo the impact they've already made. That's why you must be intentional. Because the way you speak to others and the way you speak to yourself becomes the foundation of every relationship, every decision, and every direction your life takes. Words are energy. They linger. Think about the last time someone said something kind to you, something that genuinely lifted you. You can still remember it, can't you? Maybe you even remember the tone, the warmth behind it. Now think about the last time someone's words cut deep. That too stayed with you, because words imprint on us. They shape how we see ourselves and how we show up in the world. That's why strong people are intentional with their speech. They don't throw words like weapons. They use them like instruments, tools to teach, to strengthen, to lead. When you're careless with your words, you give power to chaos. But when you speak with intention, you create clarity. The strongest people understand this. They know that language can build bridges or burn them down. That's why they pause before they speak. They listen, they assess, they think. They don't speak from impulse. They speak from awareness. Because once you speak in anger, once you let emotion control your mouth, you've already lost control of the situation. Power lies in restraint, in your ability to think through the impact before the sound even leaves your lips. You have the ability to heal people through your words. You can encourage someone who's about to give up. You can remind them of their worth, their potential, their strength. That's how leaders communicate, not through ego, but through empathy. They understand that the right words can ignite courage, restore faith, and rebuild trust. And you know what? That's real influence. Not manipulation, not fear. Influence that uplifts, that inspires, that brings people closer to their better selves. Because the words you use can either close someone off or open them up. But this isn't just about others. It's about you too. How you talk to yourself matters. If your inner dialogue is full of doubt, fear, and self-criticism, then that's the reality you reinforce. Your words become your truth. You cannot speak negativity every day and expect to live a positive life. So if you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not enough," you will live according to that belief. But if you begin to shift that language, even slightly, and tell yourself, "I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm capable," your mind starts to align with that truth. You create your world through your words. When you choose your words consciously, you start living with purpose. It's easy to be reactive, to lash out when you're angry, to gossip when you're hurt, to speak impulsively when you feel threatened. But that's what weak people do. They give away their power through their tongue. Strong people, on the other hand, protect their words. They use them deliberately, knowing that they hold consequences. They don't speak to impress. They speak to express what truly matters. And that difference changes everything. You can always tell who's in control by how they speak. The insecure will attack, criticize, and belittle to feel superior. The secure will remain calm, clear, and firm, because they don't need to prove themselves. Their words reflect confidence, not chaos. They understand that language is a mirror of the mind, and if your words are messy, your thinking is too. So, if you want to elevate your life, elevate your language. Speak with discipline, speak with clarity. Remember, every time you speak, you're setting something in motion. You're either adding peace or adding noise. You're either building trust or tearing it down. The energy behind your words determines the energy that returns to you. That's why you can't afford to be careless. The world listens when you speak, whether you realize it or not. The question is, what do you want it to hear? So take ownership of your language. Choose to be the kind of person whose words bring calm, whose voice restores order, whose presence inspires others to be better. Because your words have the power to heal, to strengthen, and to transform, but only if you have the discipline to use them that way. The Secret Service mindset. In high-stakes situations, words are never thrown carelessly. They are calculated, deliberate, and strategic. Because in moments of pressure, one word can save a life, or it can destroy everything. Those who have trained their minds to operate under stress understand this truth. Emotion can never lead the mission. In chaos, the person who speaks with clarity holds the advantage. Whether you're negotiating, de-escalating conflict, or navigating a heated argument, your words can either calm the storm or make it worse. That's why emotional control isn't just a skill. It's a survival tool. Most people talk to react, not to respond. They let their feelings spill out unchecked, hoping to regain control by speaking faster, louder, stronger. But the more reactive you are, the more predictable you become. And predictability makes you vulnerable. The strongest communicators are the ones who stay calm under fire. They listen more than they speak. They observe the body language, the tone, the rhythm of the other person's voice. They understand that silence can be a weapon too, one that forces others to reveal themselves. You see, control doesn't come from dominance. It comes from discipline. In high-pressure moments, you don't get to think after you speak. You think before you speak. You weigh every word, because once it leaves your mouth, you can't take it back. When emotions surge, the untrained mind rushes to defend, explain, or retaliate. But the trained mind, the strong mind, pauses. It measures the outcome before the response. That's what separates the professional from the emotional, the leader from the follower, the stable from the shaken. The truth is, the way you speak in conflict reveals how you lead in life. Do you stay grounded or do you crumble under pressure? People are always observing how you handle tension. If you can stay calm when things get heated, if you can communicate with logic while others lose their composure, you automatically gain respect. The world listens to the one who doesn't flinch. Confidence isn't in your tone, it's in your control. This mindset applies far beyond tactical situations. It applies in business, in relationships, in every conversation where emotions run high. The person who can maintain verbal precision under stress, that's the person who wins. Because in a world full of reaction, calmness is rare. It's magnetic. People are drawn to those who can maintain peace while standing in the middle of chaos. There's something powerful about restraint, the ability to hold your ground without losing your voice. When you speak, speak with purpose. Don't fill the silence just because it feels uncomfortable. Use your pauses wisely. A measured silence can communicate strength more effectively than 1,000 rushed words. It shows that you're thinking, that you're intentional, that you're in control. That's how you earn credibility, not through volume, but through precision. When you look at those who excel under pressure, agents, negotiators, leaders, they all share one thing in common: mastery over their emotions. They don't let fear, anger, or ego hijack their decisions. They know that control is safety, and in your own life, that's true too. Whether you're having a difficult conversation, facing criticism, or handling confrontation, your control is your protection. So train yourself the same way. Practice composure in everyday moments. Don't wait for chaos to test you. Build your strength in the small interactions first. Choose your words with care, even when it's easy not to. Because the more intentional you are with your speech, the more power you carry when things go wrong. Communication isn't about talking. It's about commanding presence through discipline. The ones who master their voice master the moment, and the ones who master the moment master their world. The Unbreakable Communication Code. To truly master your words, you must first master your emotions. Everything you say flows from what you feel, and if your emotions control you, your words will betray you. The person who can remain centered when provoked, calm when challenged, and thoughtful when under pressure, that person has real strength. Because it's not about suppressing emotion, it's about channeling it. You can feel anger, but you don't let anger speak for you. You can feel hurt, but you don't let pain decide your tone. Power begins the moment you separate what you feel from what you say. The world often mistakes volume for confidence, but true confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't seek validation. Confidence speaks with clarity. It's not about convincing others that you're powerful. It's about knowing you are and letting that certainty guide your words. People who are secure within themselves don't argue to be heard. They communicate to be understood. They don't let ego lead their conversations. They don't need to dominate others with words. They influence through composure. When you understand the power of your words, you realize how much weight they carry. The more intentional you are with your speech, the more control you have over your world. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to lead, to inspire, to create impact. Because your language reflects your discipline. If your words are scattered, impulsive, or emotionally charged, they reveal a lack of self-control. But when your words are measured, calm, and deliberate, they command respect without effort. People listen to you not because you demand it, but because your energy demands it. The truth is, how you speak determines how others treat you. If you communicate with uncertainty, people will question you. If you speak with conviction, people will trust you. That doesn't mean being rigid. It means being sure of what you stand for. Your words should match your values. They should align with your integrity. Because once you start speaking from truth rather than emotion, you stop reacting to the world and start shaping it. You can feel the difference between someone who's centered and someone who's not. The centered person speaks less but says more. They don't rush to respond. They listen. They process. They choose the right word at the right time. Because they understand that communication isn't about speed, it's about accuracy. Every sentence becomes a reflection of their control, their wisdom, their awareness. And that's what makes them unforgettable. The Unbreakable Communication Code isn't about memorizing tactics or rehearsing lines. It's about developing inner discipline. When you learn to regulate your emotions, your words follow. You start to speak with precision, with intention, and with purpose. And people can feel that. They feel your steadiness. They trust your calm. They know you're not reacting. You're responding. That's what real leadership looks like. To communicate powerfully, you must speak from strength, not from need. You don't talk to prove a point, you talk to share perspective. You don't speak to impress, you speak to impact. Because your goal is not to dominate a room, it's to elevate it. The person who can maintain that level of awareness, who can stay emotionally grounded no matter what's happening around them, becomes unshakable. Their words become tools of influence, not weapons of defense. So as you move through the world, remember, your voice carries your energy. What you say, how you say it, and when you say it reflects who you are on the inside. If your words come from confidence and calm, they'll resonate. If they come from fear or ego, they'll fade. When you own your emotions, you own your message. And when you own your message, you own your power. Your words define your world. They shape how you think, how you lead, and how you live. Every time you open your mouth, you are building something, a reputation, a connection, a reflection of who you are. Words have the power to create peace in chaos or chaos in peace. They can ignite hope in someone who's ready to give up, or they can crush the spirit of someone who only needed encouragement. That's why the way you speak matters. It's not just about communication, it's about creation. You are creating outcomes, shaping emotions, influencing reality every single time you speak. Most people underestimate the power of their own voice. They don't realize that every word they say leaves a fingerprint on the world around them. You've seen it happen. One sentence can end a friendship, but one phrase can heal it. One moment of anger can destroy trust, but one moment of honesty can rebuild it. That's how much power language holds. And that power lives in you. But to use it effectively, you must be conscious of it. You must decide every day what kind of impact your words will have. Speak life into your goals. Don't use language that limits you. The moment you say, "I can't," you've already created your own ceiling. The moment you say, "It's too hard," you've already given your struggle authority over you. But when you say, "I will," when you say, "I'm capable," when you declare, "I'm not done yet," you're not just talking. You're programming your mind for strength. Your words become your beliefs, and your beliefs become your behavior. That's how transformation begins, with the language you choose to use every single day. Speak strength into your pain. Everyone goes through moments that test them. Betrayal, rejection, loss, failure. But those moments don't define you. How you talk about them does. When you tell yourself, "This broke me," you stay broken. But when you say, "This taught me," you grow. When you use your words to reframe pain into purpose, you reclaim control over it. You turn wounds into wisdom. You turn struggle into strength. That's how powerful your language is. It decides whether you remain the victim of your story or become its author. Speak peace where others bring chaos. The world is full of noise, arguments, negativity, people desperate to provoke a reaction. Don't let that energy pull you in. Your calm is your weapon. Your composure is your strength. When you speak with peace, you disarm the chaos around you. You remind people that power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it's found in the pause between your words. The words you speak are a reflection of the world you believe in. If you want to change your world, start by changing your vocabulary. Replace complaints with solutions. Replace doubt with determination. Replace fear with faith. You don't need to shout to be powerful. You just need to speak with clarity, conviction, and courage. Because your voice has influence, and what you say today will echo long after you're gone. So guard your words like the weapons they are. Use them to build, not to break. To elevate, not to destroy. Because the most powerful weapon you will ever hold isn't in your hands. It's in your mouth. And how you use it will determine the world you create.